Look at that. Yummy. Hello and welcome to In the Kitchen with Matt. I am your host, Matt Taylor. Today I'm going to show you how to make a super yummy basic vanilla cake. Really easy to do, simple ingredients. If I can do it, you can do it. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my new videos. Let's get baking. Down below in the description box, you'll find a list of the ingredients and their amounts. Now begin by measuring out all of your ingredients. And if you remember, take the milk and the eggs out about a half hour before you want to make it. You really want those to be room temperature. It just really helps when all the ingredients are at room temperature for the cake to bake as evenly as possible. And then also prep your pans. I have two 9-inch pans here, and I flour them, and I put a piece of round parchment paper on the bottom. It's a little bit overkill, but it really makes sure that cake comes out really nice and easy. And just take your cake pan and put it on top of parchment paper and use a pencil and just stencil around or draw around the bottom of it, and then just cut out on the inside. And that's how you can get a perfectly round piece of parchment paper to fit right there in the middle. So do that with both of the pans. In a large bowl, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of butter, and this is softened. If you forget to take the butter out of the refrigerator, go ahead and soften it up in the microwave on defrost mode or on high for 25 to 35 seconds, and that should work perfectly. And next, let's add 1 3/4 cups of white granulated sugar. And we are going to mix these together for about 2 to 3 minutes. All right, there we go. The butter should be nice and pale whitish in color. And great. And now let's add the 2 large eggs. And again, room temperature eggs. And 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. This is the star of the vanilla cake. That's how you get the vanilla in vanilla cake, with vanilla extract. Give this a mix. All right, and then throughout this process, you'll want to scrape down the sides of that bowl just to make sure that you get everything mixed. Fantastic. And now, what we want to do is I'm just going to set this aside for 1 second here. And now I have 2.5 cups of flour. And now I'm going to add 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder to this. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We'll just give this a whisk. And you can use cake flour, which is preferred if you can find it, or all-purpose flour will work as well. And in other countries, all-purpose flour is the same as regular flour or plain flour. And now to the main bowl of batter, I'm going to add, about a half of my milk. This is 1 1/4 cups of milk. And you can use whole milk, 2%, 1%. You can use almond milk as well. And I'm going to just mix that in. And then I'm going to add a little bit of this flour mixture. So we're essentially just going back and forth until it's mixed 2 or 3 times. Scrape the sides of the bowl. And if you don't have a hand mixer or a stand mixer, you can do this all by hand. Start with a whisk, or use a wooden spoon, something like that. Let's add in the rest of this milk. And then a little more of that flour. Okay, just until that part is mixed, we want to be careful not to overmix the cake batter. And so I'm going to put the beaters and the mixer away, and we'll just mix in the rest by hand. So I'm going to scrape the sides of the bowl. Should feel like a really nice, fluffy batter, okay? Put the rest of this flour mixture in there. And we're just gonna fold it in the rest of the way. You can stir and fold. We're just not gonna use the mixer for the remainder part of this. All right, that is our vanilla cake batter. It comes together super easy and super quickly. Also, make sure to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 Celsius. And now I have one of these cake pans, and I'm just going to pour some of this in here. Like so. Come to this other one and do the same. Trying to get as evenly in there as much as possible. Try to do evenly. You could use a measuring cup if you want to scoop this out. I normally don't go that precise, but you certainly can. And we'll just spread this out. Could also come in with an offset spatula and further smooth it out if you want. All right, once you have the cake batter in your pans and it's all smoothed out on top, level, into the oven it goes. Again, 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 176 Celsius. And we're gonna bake these for somewhere between 25 to 30 minutes until when you poke it with the toothpick comes out clean. On to that step. And when they come out of the oven, they will look something like this. Allow them to cool in their pans for 10 to 15 minutes. And then we can just remove them from the pan. Really should come out really easy. And then put it on a wire rack to cool the rest of the way. Like so. And if the cake cracks a little bit while it's coming out of the pan, don't worry about it. That's gonna be totally covered with frosting. So now we're gonna let these cool to room temperature, and then we'll put them in the fridge for about a half hour before we frost it. Cakes really frost a lot better when they are cool. And once the cake has had time to chill, it's time to frost the cake. And I'm using a rotating cake pedestal, but you don't have to use one. You can just use a normal plate. This just makes it really easy to frost, but you can do this however you like. And then I have some frosting here. I have up in the corner, there's a little eye, you can click on that, and that's my recipe for homemade frosting. You could use that if you want, or just use store-bought. Homemade frosting is really easy to make. I'm just gonna put a little tiny bit of frosting right here. And that just kind of helps keep the cake to stick. And my cake has cooled. I'm just gonna remove this parchment paper. Put that right down in the middle. This layer did crack on me a little bit, but I'm not worried about it at all because it's gonna get some frosting on there, and I'm just going to give it some frosting. And if you need to, you may need to level off the cake. If it's really mounded, you might need to level it off with like a bread knife or a cake knife. So just keep that in mind. I usually don't get that precise when I'm doing this. Just personal preference of what you want to do. So there we go. And you could do as much or as little frosting as you want here on this. We'll put that layer right on top. And then we will do some more frosting. And I might need to make a little bit more frosting. We'll see where this gets me. And then I also want to do it on the sides here. So you can see how this turntable is really, really helpful. And you can just use a normal piping bag like I have here, or you can use a big Ziploc bag for the frosting, or don't even use a piping bag and just use a spatula and put it on. And then I'm going to just frost the top. Nice thin layer. Gonna put some more on, got another batch here. I'll do a little bit more on the top. Definitely more on the sides. So many ways and methods for frosting a cake. Okay, something like that. You can do little zigzags. You could do these little S shapes on the top that I show in my chocolate cake video, however you want to do. And then you can come in with a damp paper towel and just clean up that base so it's nice and clean edge on the bottom there. You don't have to, it just makes it look a little nicer. You can also do the cake crumb look around it. I show that in my red velvet cake, that look. You could do that as well. I'm going to leave it like this. Super nice vanilla cake, and then I'm going to put some chocolate sprinkles on there. And there we go, the easy basic vanilla cake is done. And just remember to make sure that the cake is chilled or cold before you frost it. It'll just make it a lot easier and let you get more of a fine edge, smoother edge to it. But if you're really impatient, you can frost it when it's a little bit warmer. It just won't look as nice probably, but that's okay. And now time to cut a slice of this. Look at that. Yummy vanilla cake. Awesome. I'm Matt Taylor. This has been another episode of In the Kitchen with Matt. Thank you for joining me. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or requests, put them down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thumbs up, down the corner, push it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Take care. Time for me to dive into this cake. Oh yeah. Look at that. Yeah. Big bite. Mmm.